Okay, so today is June 26th, 2023, which means that I am 25 years old. Today's my birthday, my 25th birthday, and I wanted to do a Q&A to, I guess, one, just like maybe reflect on my birthday and kind of just answer some questions, but also hopefully allow some of you to get to know me a bit better. My plan is also to kind of do one of these every single year on my birthday so that I kind of have a ongoing time lapse, maybe not time lapse, an ongoing time capsule of my current state of mind, how my life's going, so I can look back every year that I do this, hopefully indefinitely, and just see where I was at on my 25th birthday, on my 30th birthday, whatever it might be. So I thought that'd be cool, and that is why I'm doing this. So I do have some questions from a couple of you that have responded to the community post I put out. Thank you for the questions. I wasn't expecting to get any, so that's awesome. I also have a few questions that I personally kind of threw in here. I got them from like Google or ChatGPT or whatever that I think could allow you guys to get to know me a bit better. So that'll be fun. But 25. I'm 25 today. Wanted to start off just like talking a little bit about my thoughts on 25. You know, it's a birthday that I have been dreading for a little while. It's a bit of an inside joke in my friend group that like 25 is like not one to look forward to, and maybe that's the case for a lot of other people as well. I think, and I've been putting some thought into this today, this morning, I've been journaling on it. I kind of just have been thinking about it. I think the reason that 25 is one of them that doesn't feel so great or that is scary, is because 25, at least in my mind, marks a point in time where you are now officially an adult. You are no longer in your early 20s, you've graduated from university a few years ago, you've had a job for a few years. Your life should be trending in a particular direction. You should have a good job, you should be doing this with your life, you should have these goals figured out, you should be in certain relationships, whatever it might be. And I guess on birthdays, you're especially reflective of these questions. And for me, at least, it forced me to kind of think about where I am in life compared to these internal and also external pressures that are put on me and everyone turning this age, and how you kind of compare. And I don't really know where I compare. I think that my life, I guess, isn't necessarily where it should be. I'm probably more uncertain of my future than ever, but also more sure of like what I want to do and have a certain direction in mind than I ever have before. So I don't really know how those two combine, or how those two can coexist, but that's kind of the current state I feel like I'm in. And I'm not typically one to celebrate my birthday. If you know me well, you know that like I don't like my birthday. I don't like the attention. I have like deliberately removed my birthday from a lot of social media websites so that people don't know when my birthday is. My good friends have been upset at me for that because they missed my birthday in the past, which is okay. I really don't mind. But I came from a place where I was, a few years ago, almost against birthdays. And I think, as the years go on, and once again, as your birthday hits, you kind of are reflective on these big moments in time, right? That's why New Year's is such a reflective time. Your birthday is such a reflective time. It marks like the start of something new, right? And I think that for me, at least, I had a lot of negative feelings towards my birthday. And this is something I would typically never do. I don't want people to know when it's my birthday. But I think that this is maybe just a part of my growth and allowing myself to let go of those negative emotions that are associated with birthday, letting go of any idea of what I should be doing in life, whatever it might be, and just letting things be and being a little bit more easygoing. So that's my little preamble on my thoughts on my 25th birthday and my thoughts on my birthday as a whole. So yeah. But we'll jump into it. I have some questions once again listed here, and then we can get into some of the ones you asked later. First question I wrote down is just, where am I from? I don't know if I've ever covered this before. I think in a few videos I've mentioned it, but I live in Canada, specifically in Toronto, which is located in Ontario, if anyone's curious or didn't know that. It's the biggest city in Canada. Hopefully you knew that. Anyways, I'm a Canadian. Yeah, that's that. Favorite music. I have played guitar for like 10 plus years. I love guitar, acoustic and electric. And so a lot of the music I gravitate towards ends up being guitar heavy music. So my big kind of 3 artists that I love, like kind of the top 3, the Mount Rushmore, even though I think Mount Rushmore is 4. But for me, it's like in no particular order, Led Zeppelin, the Beatles, and like John Mayer. John might seem like a bit of a weird one to throw in there, but if you don't know anything about him, he's amazing. Great guitarist, great songwriter all around. But yeah, I love all music. My Spotify Wrapped probably wouldn't include any of those guys this year or last year. I love all sorts of rap, from Mac Miller to Tyler, the Creator, to, I don't know, Drake, to Joey Badass, to Logic, to MF Doom, all these guys. I love jazz. I just had a Nirvana record on earlier today. Really anything that's good music. Harry Styles, Dua Lipa, any sort of good pop on the radio. If it's good, I like it. Not to say that if I don't like a song, it's not good. I just am a lover of music in general. So that's a little bit about me, my music taste. Favorite podcasts. What are my favorite podcasts? I often talk about books a lot on this channel. Those are great. You can actually learn a lot from podcasts, and I listen to a lot of them. And I think you should too. Podcasts are fantastic. You can listen to them when you are not available to read, when you're walking, when you're driving, when you're doing the dishes, whatever it might be. So I do have quite a few that I listen to regularly. Some of them are Tim Ferriss. Love Tim. He's a GOAT. Chris Williamson's Modern Wisdom is probably one of my top podcasts in the last year. I love Chris. I think he's amazing. Lex Friedman is one of the ones I love to listen to. Conan O'Brien, his podcast, Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend. Unbelievable. He's fucking hilarious. I love Conan. Love him. Joe Rogan, obviously, once again, one of the GOATs. And Colin and Samir. Colin and Samir have a podcast called Creator Support. If you're interested in the creator economy, in YouTube, and that whole thing in general, and creating content, those are the guys to go to. They cover it all. Yeah, those are some of my favorite podcasts. What is your favorite way to spend a day off? So today actually is a day off for me. It's raining. The work that I do revolves around me being outside. I'll get to that in a second. So I have a day off today. What does my ideal day look like when I have a day off? Honestly, I like to wake up early. Today I woke up at 5:50 in the morning. I like to go for a walk in the morning, clear my head, meditate, journal, all that sort of good stuff. But then I really just like to make a nice cup of coffee, get a really good book. Right now I'm reading this book. Oh.
I found this on the web.
Oh, sorry, Siri. Shoe Dog, Phil Knight, unbelievable. Get a good book, go on a nice long walk, maybe get a workout in if it's my day to work out. Listen to a nice podcast, and honestly make a YouTube video in any sense. So write a script, come up with an idea, make a thumbnail, do some editing. If I can get all that done, that's a really great day and a really nice way to spend my day. I also like to golf outside of work. So if I can golf, that's fantastic. Play some guitar, listen to some good music. Yeah, nothing too crazy. That would be a pretty good day in my books. Okay, these next 2 questions are from Tim Ferriss. He did not ask me these personally. I do not know Tim. I wish I did. But they come from, it's over there. It's his book, Tribe of Mentors. And he has the same 11 questions that he asks everyone. And these 2 are like the only 2 that I really think could even apply to me. Or like 2 that I just like the answer to. I've always wanted to answer them to Tim. So here are my answers, not to Tim, but to myself. The first question is, what purchase of $100 or less has most positively impacted your life in the last 6 months or in recent memory? This is not in the last 6 months. This is probably in the last 2 years. But, and this might be weird, but I'm going to convince you on this. A bidet. Yes, the thing that sprays water at you when you take a shit. Bidets. Unbelievable. They're like, you can get one for like 50, 60 bucks. You can attach it right into your toilet. It's changed my life. I cannot believe that most of the world, or most of whatever Canada or North America, uses just toilet paper. Like, it seems archaic to me, or whatever the word is, just ancient. Like, get a bidet. You'll never go back. Cleaner, less toilet paper. I'm very passionate about this thing. So this topic. So anyways, bidet is my answer to that question. Highly recommend getting one if you have an Amazon gift card for like 40 or 50 bucks. The next question from Tim that I love is, if you could have a gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, what would it say and why? My answer is one of two quotes. And like, I collect a lot of quotes. You know, I have a whole book of like my commonplace book full of quotes and stuff. But there are two that I really love, and I don't know why I love these so much. But the first is, me burping, sorry. The first is, you're exactly where you need to be. I am not a super spiritual guy, but there is something about this quote that just brings me a great sense of reassurance. And the longer that I have lived, speaking like I'm an old man, but the longer that I've been alive, the more I realize that like everything that happens to you, I truly do believe is for a reason. And the person that you are today is because of all of your past experiences. And I truly wouldn't want to omit or do anything different in my entire life, because I wouldn't be where I am today, and I wouldn't be who I am today. And I don't know. You're exactly where you need to be is just a great quote to realize, like, this is part of your journey. This is exactly what your journey is supposed to be. You're learning the lessons that you need to learn. And I think a lot of people would benefit from seeing that quote. The other one, it's a bit cheesy. It's from Oscar Wilde, I believe. And it is, be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. I love that quote. Sometimes I feel like a complete weirdo. I feel like a total outcast. But that's okay. I think the power in us as humans is that we're all individuals, and everyone has their own unique set of skills and interests and flaws and all these sorts of things. And like, the best thing that you can do is to just be yourself. You're never going to be better than anyone you're trying to copy, because you will just be the second best of that person. You can be number one in being yourself. And yeah, I think a lot of people would like to see that quote as well. Two quotes I like. Two more ones I have here for me, and then I'll jump into the other ones. But the first one is, if I could have dinner with any historical figure, who would it be and why? I have a few answers here. And as I looking at this list, I'm realizing that a lot of them aren't very old. Like, I could have had anyone. Like, I could have literally had dinner with, I don't know, literally anyone famous, like Hitler or Jesus or someone that's old and incredibly more famous than these guys. But these are guys that I have seen content of, that I know them well, and that I think I would love to chat with. I have 5 names down here. The first one is Anthony Bourdain. I love that man. I think that would be fascinating. I love his book, Kitchen Confidential, somewhere on the shelf. I think he would just be awesome to have dinner with. And I think he would take me to like a really cool restaurant, and it'd just be a cool time. I also have Conan down here. I've mentioned Conan twice now. He's amazing. He is fucking hilarious. And I also think he is incredibly wise and has a lot of great insights on life and everything. Conan would be a blast. Bill Hader is another one of them. And I think that I got this from Conan. I see him and Conan on the podcast together or interacting. And Bill is just, he's one of those guys that can make me laugh anytime I want. His impressions are hilarious. His storytelling is hilarious. And yeah, he's a total dork for like old films and all these sorts of things. And I love hearing people dork out about that shit. So I would love to sit down with him. Norm Macdonald, I have written down. Norm is one of those guys that I kind of got into after he died. Same thing with like Mac Miller. And he's just such a unique dude. I would just love to have met him and just be blown away and literally not know what to say because of how ridiculous the things he would say at the dinner would be. That would be a fun dinner. And then I have written down John Mayer because it's John Mayer. I've loved him. He was like my number one artist on Spotify for like 5 years in a row or something. I got to meet him. John, if you're watching this, let's get dinner. Go-to comfort food. It's my last one. Burrito Boys. Burrito from Burrito Boys or a burrito bowl from Burrito Boys. Literally could eat that and did eat that multiple times a week. It's like a great post-workout meal for me. It's a great like value meal. You can get like a huge bowl for like $13. Split it into 2 meals. Beautiful. It's a great thing. Okay, now we're on to some questions from some of you. This set of questions, I think it's the next like 5 questions or 6, is from, sorry if I'm getting the username wrong, or the name, it's just a username, EELSAACF. Eelsakif? Eelsakif. Few questions. The first one, by the way, I'm drinking bubbly. That's why I've been burping so much. Grapefruit flavored. Sparkling water is my Achilles heel. So this is my drink of choice also, Q&A, if you're wondering. Not this flavor, not this brand, just sparkling water in general. Are you keen on traveling? If so, what's your favorite places you've been to and what places would you like to visit soon? I think I like the idea of traveling. To be honest with you, growing up, we never really traveled much. My parents just didn't travel much with us, or they didn't travel much themselves either. And so I think you kind of just do what your parents do, largely in life. And so yeah, traveling hasn't been a huge priority for me. And I think also that people tend to travel a lot in their lives right after university. For me personally, I graduated in 2020, April of 2020. COVID happened in April of 2020. So for the next 2 years of my life, I wasn't really allowed to leave the country. And so I didn't really leave anywhere, to be honest with you. But I have been some places. I've been to the west coast of Canada, to BC. I've been down to Nashville in the United States. I've been down to Florida. I've been to London, Paris, and Italy back in like high school, although I don't remember it much. Favorite places I've been, like, truthfully, I love Nashville. That place is so much fun if you're young and enjoy music and have a group of friends to go with. Like, go down there, drink your face off, listen to some good music. It's a great time. BC was a lot of fun. I went there recently. Great outdoor life over there. Everything is very chill on the West Coast. And there's mountains. It was my first time seeing mountains. So I loved that trip. Would definitely go back. I am traveling soon, yes. I'm going in a few weeks, actually, to England, London, England. And I'm actually going to watch the British Open. So I mentioned I golf. There's a big tournament called the British Open in golf. I'm going to watch that with my friend. It's going to be a blast. I'm really excited to go over there. I'm there for like 10 or 12 days. Yeah, looking forward to that quite a bit. So definitely would like to travel more in my life than I have at this point in time. Yeah, if you have any places you'd like to recommend, let me know. What is your major/profession and hobbies? Yeah, major. So I went to the University of Guelph. Guelph is a town outside of Toronto, like 45 minutes, an hour. And I went there for biology. So my degree is in biological science. I have a minor in nutrition and nutraceutical science. I don't use either of those for my work now. What do I do right now? If you have seen my recent video, a few videos ago, you may know that I quit my job. The job that I'm working after I quit my job is landscaping. I was looking for something to do outside. I was looking to get a job quickly, and I had a connection with this landscaping company, so I'm doing that. I'm actually really enjoying it, to be honest with you. It's not going to be my forever job, I don't think, but I'm outside. I'm learning some practical skills that I never have learned before. and I'm enjoying the weather. Before this, I had a few jobs, but like my primary job for the last like 16, 18 months or whatever, before I started landscaping, was I was in tech sales. I was in, yeah, I was selling software to companies. Was in two different industries. I was in the restaurant industry at one point selling software. And then more recently, I was in like the scientific industry, selling software to scientists and stuff like that. So hated those jobs. Really did hate those jobs. Really happy I'm no longer working at those jobs. They just weren't a good fit for me. And hopefully YouTube, some years down the road or some point down the road, could be a source of income. That'd be fantastic. In terms of hobbies, yeah, like I love guitar, like I mentioned, music in general. I read a ton. I like to play golf. I play hockey on the weekdays. I was into running for a while. Yeah, I don't know. I think for a while, I mean, YouTube's also a hobby. Like right now, I'm not making any money off of it, so I love making YouTube videos. I love writing, all these sorts of things. Those are my hobbies. Favorite fiction books, movies, and shows? Good question. I don't talk about fiction too much on this channel, although I should really talk about it more. I do read fiction. I would say I primarily have read nonfiction most of my life, although it's slowly teetering towards more fiction as time goes on. There's only so many self-development books you can read. My favorite fiction book ever is this thick boy right here, Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace. I'm not sure why I love this book so much. I think part of it is because it is so long. It is over 1,000 pages long. There's a bit of Stockholm syndrome here. Like, this book took me so long to read. I was like prisoner to this book for so long that I think I just developed some sort of, admiration for it. But it is a really great book. I think it's fantastic. It is burned into my memory. Yeah, I don't really know. This is one of my favorites. Other ones that I really like they're on the shelf. The Rosie Project I really like. Pride and Prejudice is fantastic. 1984 by George Orwell is fantastic. The Martian by Andy Weir, amazing. I listened to that one on Audible actually, narrated by Will Wheaton. Fantastic book. Those are some fiction books that I really like. In terms of movies, what do I have down here? I'll list you some. I listed down some movies that I watch quite a bit, but Moneyball is one that comes to mind. I've watched that movie so many times. Back to the Future, once again, probably my two most watched movies of all time. Good Will Hunting, Crazy Stupid Love, Superbad, Bruno, Borat, anything by Christopher Nolan, Mean Girls, Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind. Literally, basically go on IMDb, sort by top 250 movies, and I probably like most of those. In terms of TV shows, Breaking Bad is my favorite show of all time. Love that show. Consequently, Better Call Saul is also one of my favorite shows of all time. Mad Men is amazing. I just finished Succession. Ted Lasso is amazing. Seinfeld is a go-to. It's Always Sunny. The Office, obviously. Atlanta. There's so many good... Scrubs. Yeah, that's a really great, underrated show in my opinion. So many good shows out there. Those are a few of like my favorites that I think about a lot and go back to a lot. Nagami is a Japanese surname. Do you have Japanese roots? My last name is Nagami. That's a very whitewashed way of saying it. I think in Japanese it should be Nagami. But yes, it is Japanese. My dad is Japanese. That makes me half Japanese. My other half is Irish. Yeah, I'm Japanese. For those of you who didn't know. Good call out, by the way. Advice for someone who's starting university next year. Wow, okay. This is a big question. First off, congrats. University is a big deal. I'm sure you'll be looking forward to the end of those. So where are you going to university? Conversations that I'm sure everyone has had with you. Yeah, okay, advice for someone starting university next year. So I think that my first piece of advice is just going to be to keep things in perspective. Like when I think back to university, like I mentioned, I graduated in April of 2020. So I've been out of university for 3 years. That gives me some perspective on this answer. But one thing that I like to think about is in moments of stress, in moments of anxiety or crisis or whatever it might be, try and keep this in mind. Like, there's going to be points in time in university where it's going to seem like this is the most important thing ever, or like this test score, or like what I'm doing in like my job in first year summer or whatever it might be. Just remember back to other points in your life when things seemed like they were the most important thing. If you think back to when you were in high school, maybe the ninth grade, or when you were in elementary school, whatever it might have been, you're going to realize that there were things at that time that seemed like the biggest problem of all time. And now that you are removed from that situation, now that you've gone through that situation, you can look back on it and realize that, okay, it wasn't that big of a deal. Your biggest problems of the past were were important at one point, but are trivial now. And so I want you to just be able to step back when things get tough at school over these next few years, and just realize that like these things are going to pass too. The things that seem super important right now probably aren't as important as you think. Not saying you shouldn't take them seriously, but just to realize that 5 years from now, you're going to look back at that and realize that it wasn't that big of a deal. And so what I'm basically saying is, yes, those problems are going to happen. They're inevitable, but just be careful about how you react to them. Try not to get too stressed out. Try not to get too anxious. Try not to compare yourself too much to what other people are doing, or to hold yourself to too high of a standard where you're stressing yourself out. That's one piece of advice. The second, I guess, is to do something that I wish I did earlier, which is to find people online or in real life, if you can, that's even better, to act for you as like mentors. Like, I don't have any real life mentors. I wish I did, but I have a lot of like virtual mentors that don't know I exist. They're all one-way mentors. Content creators that I really like, whether that's in podcasts or YouTube or authors or past dead historical figures, whatever it might be. Find these people that really, really connect with you, that have a positive influence on your life, that say things that are meaningful to you, that inspire you to do things that you want to do, that inspire you to take action, and listen to what they have to say, and follow them and follow their advice, and try new things, and don't be too worried about what you're going to do for the rest of your life, because that's probably going to change. I know it did for me a few times, and it still probably is going to again in the future, and that's okay. Just enjoy yourself. Try not to take things too seriously. Find people who inspire you, and I think you'll be in good shoes. What camera do you use and how do you edit? I am filming on my iPhone right now. I have an iPhone 14 Pro. I used to film on my iPhone 11. You do not need a good camera. I think a good light is more important than a good camera. And in terms of editing, I edit on iMovie. So I basically have the most budget setup for YouTube that you can possibly have. And people are always surprised when I tell them that. So if I figure you're asking this question because maybe you want to start a YouTube channel yourself, hey, start with your iPhone. I started with an iPhone, hardly knew how to edit. You eventually work your way up, and you just need the basics to start going. There's a great Casey Neistat video called Gear Doesn't Matter. I'll try and remember to link it down below. It's amazing. Give it a watch. It's super true. Also, not a question, but I love your channel. You're so inspiring, and your philosophy on habits is helping me so much. Keep going, because you'll blow up someday. And very random, but I love your name. It just sounds very cool. Thank you for the comment. I like my name too. I appreciate that. I hope I blow up someday too. I would love to reach as many people as possible. Okay, next set of questions comes from someone called Slow Down. Their question is, any person that you look up to think about most times to discipline yourself or during hard times for support/advice? Yes, there are a lot of people. I'll start maybe with the discipline ones, or during hard times. But so for discipline, like I think that when I think of discipline, I think of taking action. Being disciplined in whatever you're trying to pursue just usually means like doing the thing. And so for discipline, I go to a few different people. One is Jocko Willink. If you don't know who Jocko is, look him up. Guy's an absolute beast. One piece of content from him specifically that I really like to listen to is like you can find it on Spotify. I'm sure it's on Apple Music. I think it's like a clip from his podcast or from his book. I forget what it is. It's called Good, Good. And it literally just talks about how to deal with setbacks. And it's like 2 minutes. And anytime I listen to it, it is the most motivating thing in the entire world. So he basically just talks about using your setbacks as fuel to go and do better things, or like reframing negative things in your life as positive things. So yeah, like that's definitely one. I mean, Goggins is one that I listen to a lot. David Goggins. If you listen to him for like 5 or 10 minutes, you're going to literally get up and go to the gym. That's how bad he disciplines you. In terms of discipline as well, I think James Clear, like Atomic Habits, the author of Atomic Habits, is a fantastic resource. Like, I think a lot of the time discipline is more of a result of your ability to maintain habits than anything. And if you want to maintain habits the best, go and read James's book, Atomic Habits. It's like the best resource of all time. Honestly, people I look up to or find inspiration from or support or advice from during hard times, like I find a lot of support from people who are pursuing or who have pursued creative endeavors. There's inspiration to be drawn from honestly anyone in the world, but specifically anyone who has achieved like a great level of success, regardless of what field they're in. So I know I've mentioned Conan a few times, but Conan is a guy I go to a lot when I think things are getting hard. Like there's a huge sense of inspiration I've gotten from artists too. Like Danny Brown is one of them, the rapper that I've gotten a lot of inspiration from. I get inspiration from random YouTubers. Like there's a YouTuber, Will Tennyson. I often go back and watch his first ever YouTube video, just to see like where he started, how bad the quality was of the video compared to how they are now. And, anyways, there's random spots of inspiration. I mentioned Conan, and like, there's this one quote from Conan that I always come back to. It's him talking about not getting what you want. And it's a story that he had shared with Stephen Colbert on his podcast. And basically, Conan's biggest dream in 1985 was to be a writer on Letterman. And I'm just going to read this. He thought his entire destiny was going to be based on whether or not he got that gig. It ended up coming down to him and another guy to get that job. And they gave the job to the other guy. And in 1985, I think Conan was like 25 at this time or something like that. Conan said he thought his comedy life was over. He now realizes like if he went and worked for Dave, he wouldn't have gone to work at SNL. Lorne Michaels wouldn't have seen him. He wouldn't have been selected to replace Letterman in 1993. And he has this great quote, like, if the thing I wanted the most had happened at that point, I wouldn't be where I am. And he says, I really believe it's not getting the thing you want. That's the greatest thing that can happen to you. And so, anyways, not to get too specific to Conan, but like, there's inspiration to be found everywhere. I think if someone has achieved something great, all you need to do is spend some time listening to them, listen to interviews that people have been conducted of these people, and you'll find huge sources of inspiration. Listen to interviews on, there's a great podcast, How I Built This by Guy Raz. He talks to entrepreneurs and like the stories of them, like building their business through all these hardships. Incredibly inspiring. Tim Ferriss has some great interviews with people. Terry Crews is one that's sticking out to me at the moment. His interview with Terry Crews. Tons of places I go for support and advice and all these sorts of things. as well as those podcasts I mentioned above. I love to go to them as well. Second question. You sought out the answers to your questions from self-help, psychology, science. Ever thought about / considered spirituality or religion? Good question. So something I've never discussed on this channel either is that I grew up, I was raised Catholic. And so for the first 14 years of my life, I went to Catholic school. And for a long time, for the longest time, I never really believed in God or anything. And late in elementary school, maybe when I was 12, 13, I kind of went the other way. I was no, don't believe in God. I think it's stupid, blah, blah, blah. So I went most of my high school years being I'm an atheist. Kind of just going against the grain. And I never really gave it much thought after that. I thought that I went to school for science. And so science is my religion and yada, yada, yada. I am not religious anymore still, but I do think I'm spiritual in some sort of way. I haven't really given this a really good amount of thought, I should say, but there are many books that I've read, The Four Agreements. I've read The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer. I'm reading Untethered Soul right now. There's a book, Awareness, by Anthony DeMello that I want to read. There are so many spiritual things that I guess I believe in. I think there's a lot of things that resonate with me that I just can't put a name to, or I can't associate to a certain author. Even the whole philosophy about you're exactly where you need to be. I think that there is a spiritual element to that, but I think the older I get, the more I'm realizing that it was pretty ignorant for me as a kid to just completely neglect a lot of that stuff. And even in terms of religion, I want to come back and revisit a lot of these religions now to see, one, why they've stuck around for so long. There has to be something important there. And then two, to see if there's anything that I can draw from those religions that will help me, because they've helped millions of people, billions of people probably. Why can't they help me? So no, I don't consider myself religious. Yes, I would say I'm spiritual in a sense, but I don't know how to define it necessarily. If you have any resources for me, let me know. Evan Sukman, my guy Evan, asked a question. Evan has a YouTube channel as well. I know him outside of YouTube. He makes videos in the same vein as I do. We're interested in a lot of the same things. If you like my stuff, you'll like Evan's stuff. He is a more well-spoken version of me. So go check him out. I'll link his channel down below. Evan said, what are some books you're really looking forward to reading? So I read a lot of books at any given time. I don't read one book. And so if I'm really looking forward to reading a book, I will have read it already, or I will have started to read it already. So I can't say I'm really looking forward to any books, maybe books that aren't out. Walter Isaacson has an autobiography or a biography coming out about Elon Musk. He's written ones about Leonardo da Vinci, Steve Jobs, Albert Einstein, Thomas Edison, Winston Churchill, I think. He's written a bunch of really great biographies. So the Elon Musk one, I think, is coming out in August. I'm excited for that. I'm going to probably give that a read. Like I mentioned, I've been reading Shoe Dog. It is ghostwritten by an author that I'm blanking on the name of right now, but he also wrote, the author that ghostwrote this also wrote the biography for Andre Agassi, I believe, the tennis player. It's called Open. I don't know anything about him or anything, but I've heard that book's amazing. So I do want to give that a read after, because I love the style that he wrote this book in. But yeah, for the most part, I've read most books that I'm excited to read. I do have a lot of classic literature books that I want to really read. I'm slowly working my way through all of Shakespeare, very slowly. But I like kind of getting some exposure to that and famous literature. I have War and Peace up there by Tolstoy, and a bunch of other really good old literature books that have been around for hundreds of years that, or however long, that have stood the test of time, that millions of people have read, that I'd like to read too. So those are the books I'm looking forward to, I guess. And last one here, it is from Bluff Coast. Shout out. They have a great channel as well. Eric, I believe, is his name. Apologize if it's not, but anyways, great channel. Go check it out. His question is, what is one dream that you want to chase someday? I think as far as dreams go, I think the dream I wanted to chase for a while was YouTube. You know, whether I really knew it or not, YouTube has been something I've wanted to do for a long period of time. I've wanted to create content in some form. I just never really thought that YouTube would be the outlet, but retroactively looking back on it, I'm realizing it definitely was. I've watched YouTube religiously for well over a decade, like probably longer than that. And I love the platform. I love everything it stands for. And I started to chase that dream. That is the dream that I wanted to someday chase. I started to seriously chase it a few months ago with the regular posts on this channel. And it would be an absolute dream come true to be able to create content about things that I'm passionate about, sharing information with an audience who hopefully gains some value from it. If that's something that I could do full time, that would be the best thing I could possibly ask for. Probably the best thing I could imagine for myself ever. It's like the biggest dream I can chase. So that's my dream at the moment. I am really just at this point in my life chasing fulfillment. I realized, and I've come to realize that I truly, truly, truly need to be fulfilled in whatever I do to be happy. And at this current moment in time, I think that YouTube and content creation in some form is going to be the thing that fulfills me the most. So that's the dream that I'm chasing. Bluff Coast, I would love to hear what your dream is. I'd love to hear what all of your dreams are. Let me know down below. What's a dream you want to chase someday? That's all I got for the questions. This has gone on longer than I've thought, but yeah, got some good questions. I hope those answers were okay. That is my 25th birthday Q&A. I will probably do another one next year. I will absolutely do another one next year. Hopefully we can hit some milestone Q&As as well. 1,000 subscribers, 10,000 subscribers, 100,000 subscribers, million subscribers. Would love to do Q&As on those as well. But if you have any other questions, drop them in the comments. I can respond over texting like that, or I can just hopefully answer them the next one. But other than that, hope you have a good day. Go read a nice book. Do something you enjoy doing today. And I'll see you in the next one.